We're headed into the weekend, and it is still not perfect weather, but it's a whole lot better than it has been. It's much more typical mid-July type weather. We'll see some sunshine today, and storms will be much less intense than they have been in recent days. Yesterday was quieter as well, thanks to the cloud cover, but areas that did get storms, like parts of South Jersey and Delaware, picked up the risk for flash flooding. So let's talk about your weather headlines. What's next? Well, we've got these foggy mornings. This morning, you can see the fog outside our windows here in the next weather sphere, and we'll have foggy mornings right through the weekend. Each day this weekend, today, tomorrow, and Sunday, we'll have isolated afternoon storm chances. Doesn't look like widespread coverage, but any storm could produce intense rainfall because it's so humid outside. And there will be the chance for a strong thunderstorm by Monday as we move into our next cold front approaching from the west. And that could touch off just a little bit more intensity for any thunderstorm that does develop. So let's take you through what's happening right now. Outside, it's 75 degrees. In Philadelphia, the dew point is matching the temperature, and that means humidity is basically near 100%. So that's why you're getting the fog and low clouds. But visibility at the airport still a full 10 miles, not too bad. There are some spots that are not as great. Trenton, right back toward Chester County, Upper Bucks County, parts of central Delaware, seeing visibilities down below 1 mile this morning. Fog will mix out quickly, the clouds will break for sun, and temps will get right into the upper 80s. Seasonable today with just a few pop-up storm chances later on this afternoon and evening. I'll walk you through the timing of that and the weekend forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Let's send it over to Kim Hudson. All right, let's talk about what's happening outside. Today, it's going to be a pretty typical July day. It's warm, it's steamy, and we do have the chance for pop-up afternoon storms. But I say pop-up because they're going to be few and far between. Nothing really generating a huge amount of lift for these storms, so we don't really have the threat for severe weather. But because it's so humid outside, first of all, we've got the threat for fog. You can see it out the windows here this morning. Morning fog and low clouds around the city, especially dense in the valleys, Chester County, Upper Bucks County, and portions of Delaware seeing the worst of the fog this morning. You can see the low clouds just shrouding the tops of the buildings here in the city. 75 degrees, the dew point back into the 70s as well. So it's steamy outside. So here's what you get with that. You get the threat for morning fog, and then in the afternoon, when these storms do fire up, because there's so much what we call precipitable water, that's a word I've been using a lot this week, so much moisture to work from, any storm could develop those intense, brief downpours. These gutter gusher type storms, I like to call them, and they don't move much. They just kind of rain themselves out and then dissipate, and I think we will see a few of those in the next few afternoons. Visibility out there right now pretty low in Trenton, down to about a half a mile, same with Dover, and you can see the city and the I-95 corridor not that bad, but right to the north along the Turnpike here and right into Bucks County, we do have some areas of locally dense fog. So comes up on you quickly. Make sure you plan for that when you head out this morning. We've got the morning fog, then the sun comes out. Temperatures get up to the upper 80s today. Just the off chance of a few scattered storms in the afternoon, especially starting about 2-3 o'clock. These storms could fire up, and they may actually fire up along a sea breeze boundary. We'll start to feel a sea breeze pick up down the shore, and as that sea breeze works its way inland into the warmer, moist air further inland, you sometimes get storms to kind of trigger along that boundary. Showers and storms from last night have moved out to sea, though, and that will continue to move away. So the pattern today, morning clouds and fog, and then we start to see more sunshine. We generate some instability and just a few little pop-up storms this afternoon, any one of those with brief heavy downpours. Then as we get into your Saturday, same rinse and repeat type pattern, morning clouds and fog with the chance for these pop-up afternoon storms. And again, they're not everywhere, but look at this one. Doesn't mean this is exactly where it's going to set up, but our models are kind of forecasting these pulse storms. They pulse up, they have heavy rain, and then they just fall apart. They die out once all that rain moves through the column that the storm generates, basically. Sunday morning, again, starting with clouds, maybe a morning shower. Here's our next cold front. It's still well off to the north and west, and that will come through for us on Monday. So it's another warm, humid day with pop-up storm chances. Monday brings our next chance for more active weather with more strong storms expected along that front. And then we're back to a typical summer pattern near 90 with heat, humidity, and pop-up storms through the middle of next week. Kim, I'll send it over. Happy Friday. We did make it. It's been a long week, I think, because we've had all the heat, the humidity, and of course, every single evening, those heavy storms. Yesterday was a little bit less intense, at least in the city, but we had flash flood warnings across South Jersey, Delaware, Maryland yesterday because of those storms that fired up along a boundary and just didn't really move much. Today is quieter, but it's kind of an ugly start to the day. You can see we've got low clouds and fog that have developed over the city, and those will be with us through the morning, and then the sun comes out and we will see the chance for just a few isolated afternoon thunderstorms. Let's take you into current temperatures right now. Here's what you're waking up to. I'm also going to put on our fog layer just so you can see where the fog fog has kind of been most dense here this morning. 74 degrees right now in Philadelphia, 73 degrees in Wilmington. The worst of the fog is in the valleys of Chester County, western Chester County, basically Coatesville, right on into the Lancaster County border there and right along the turnpike. We're not seeing a ton of ground fog in the city, and visibilities at the airports are fine for right now, which is good news. But you can see the low clouds kind of shrouding the tops of the buildings. So as the sun comes up, it's looking a bit gray, but not for the whole day. I think as we get into the afternoon, we're going to be seeing some much improved conditions with sun returning to the area. 75 right now. Dew point is 73, so it is sticky. Once again, it's a few degrees warmer than it was yesterday. And again, there's the fog in a different view here, kind of just blanketing parts of Upper Bucks County and western Chester County at the moment. Clouds will be with us through about 9 a.m. We'll start to see them mix out, and then the sun comes out and we heat up. It's a pretty good pool day, but there may be the chance for some spotty afternoon storms that could fire up near the city and possibly on your route to the shore if that's where you're headed for the weekend. We'll time those out, plus your weekend forecast coming up. Kim, I'll send outdoor activities a little bit better than recent days, but we still have to keep an eye to the sky in the afternoons and evenings through the weekend because we do have pop-up storm chances. It's a very typical summertime pattern. When you get the heat and humidity, heats up the ground, you get these parcels of air to rise into the atmosphere, and that creates instability. And that's why we often see these afternoon thunderstorms in the summer months. It's very similar to kind of a Florida or tropical weather pattern, but luckily for us, we're not looking at any major events as far as storms this weekend, not like what we saw earlier in the work week. So there will be some storms to dodge, but that's the worst of it. We do have some fog over the next few mornings as well. You can see the low clouds out the windows behind me in the next weather sphere, and there are some areas of locally dense fog. Not seeing that so much in the city or at the airport, but Chester County, Bucks County, down into Kent County, Delaware, that's where the fog has been most pronounced this morning. Later this afternoon, the sun returns, and that's going to heat us up. We'll get to the upper 80s, a very seasonable July day. Not as hot as earlier in the week, but it is humid, and the sun beating down on the ground, the high humidity, that generates some instability for storms to develop. And again, these are not storms that are driven by any sort of a front or a boundary. So what we'll see is the storm kind of fire up, it rains itself out, and then it's pretty much over, and only a few areas will get it. Over the weekend, same pattern, foggy mornings, then sun and spotty storm chances each afternoon. So you can see we're dealing with some cloud cover this morning down the shore. This is actually the system from yesterday, which is trying to clear the coast. We've got low clouds and fog in the city as well, but mainly elevated fog, so not seeing those visibility hits at the surface, which is good news. Visibility a full 10 miles at the airport, so that should not impact any travel plans, certainly for the airport at least this morning. 75 degrees in Philly right now with a light northeast wind. The worst of the fog, Trenton, right back through Upper Bucks County down into Chester County. Wildwood right now reporting visibility of just about a half a mile. So as we go through the day, the fog clears out, the sun breaks out, but then we'll have to watch for these storm chances and just about a 20% chance later on this afternoon and this evening. So the morning clouds clearing, yesterday's storms clearing the coast as well. But take a look at July. It has been active. We've had 6 days in July so far, 6 out of 10 with rain reported at the airport. The airport did not record any rain yesterday, but areas to the south got some heavy downpours and even some flash flood warnings. And today, showers and storms will be few and far between, popping up in the afternoon and evening, but could impact your drive to the shore if you're heading on the Atlantic City Expressway or the Garden State Parkway. Monday brings our next best chance for gusty storms along a cold front. Otherwise, it's a seasonable stretch. Kim, I'll send it over to you.
Kate, you mentioned some